Donald Trump was just handed instant karma as his attack on Spain and Spain's Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, just backfired in Donald Trump's face. You see, Donald Trump was trying to use images of migrants heading into an area in northern Africa controlled by Spain as a way to scare midterm voters here in the United States to vote for MAGA Republican candidates so that Donald Trump could avoid impeachment if and when Democrats take control over the House of Representatives. And increasingly, our polling here shows Democrats likely to take control of the United States Senate as well. So there were all these images this week and videos of tens of thousands of Moroccans entering Spanish territory in northern Africa in a location called Ceuta. Spain controls territory in northern Africa called Ceuta and Melilla. It's still separated by the Mediterranean Sea from mainland Spain. You have the Strait of Gibraltar kind of in the northwest over there as well. And it's very important as we talk about Strait of Hormuz, Bab el-Mandab Strait, Strait of Gibraltar. We know how important these straits are, right? And so the Trump regime, in my opinion, based on Spain not working with the Trump regime to engage in war crimes against Iran, and based on Donald Trump's other hatred of Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez for supporting liberal democracies and human rights and leading conventions of democracies around the world, Trump wanted to inflict pain in Spain. And so Morocco is also allied with Israel through the Abraham Accords. Morocco is run by a dictator, King Mohammed VI. This week he was celebrating Throne Day, and that's when this incident took place. And so I believe, working with Israel and the United States, King Mohammed brought 50,000 Moroccans right to the border there in northern Africa, the Morocco border with Ceuta, and then released all of these migrants into Ceuta, which is Spanish territory, and they had the cameras rolling. Now, fortunately, there were cameras rolling, although the video trickled in later after the footage of the Moroccan migrants that were all heading into the Spanish territory of Ceuta. But then there was footage of these Moroccan caravans controlled by the Moroccan government, King Mohammed, bringing the migrants to the border in a very coordinated fashion, as though this was part of an operation. Notably, we then saw Israel's Minister of Foreign Affairs. We saw Israel's ambassador to the United Nations and other top Israeli official accounts all in sync, praising King Mohammed of Morocco, saying that they stand in solidarity with Morocco, and attacking Spain and saying, look, Prime Minister Sanchez, you attack Israel for this, this, and this, and you want us to be tried under the international criminal courts. But look, you can't even control your own borders. You can't even control Ceuta. And so that's what the Israeli officials were saying. By the way, Netanyahu was in the U.S. while all of this was going on. And as I mentioned, Israel was allied. It is allied with Morocco through the Abraham Accords. And then you had Donald Trump and all of the MAGA influencers saying, see, this is why the midterms need to go Republican. This is why you can't vote Democrat, because this is what's going to happen. This is what's happening in Europe. This is what's going to happen in the United States. By the way, you also had the far right parties and far right leaders in Europe also seize on this as a way to attack Spain and as a way to try to rile up their ultra-nationalist base as well. But when you look at actually what was going on, this seemed like a clear, coordinated op, obviously from King Mohammed of Morocco. The question is, and my opinion is yes, was this done in concert with Trump and Netanyahu for reasons to help Trump in the midterms with these images and to help Netanyahu and Trump attack Sanchez in Spain for not allowing the United States to use Spanish air bases to attack Iran and to engage in war crimes. Again, we have the video footage of the Moroccan government appearing to deliberately transport thousands of migrants. Here's other video as well. One of the things that we know went down is, as of this recording, there was about 50,000 migrants who arrived in Ceuta, and basically all of them have now gone back to Morocco. As of yesterday, it was 48,300 of the 50,000 migrants returned to Morocco after entering Ceuta, and at least 57 died crossing. Pedro Sanchez called this a violation of Spain's territorial integrity. I'll share this with you right here. This was Donald Trump yesterday at Camp David, and Trump just gave the whole game away. Trump was like, when I was watching what was happening in Spain, I said, boy, another talking point for the midterms. I mean, Trump's just saying it out loud. Here, play this clip.
Look, small guy. And when I watched it, I said, boy, I'm going to say it because I knew you were going to be at Camp David. And I say, that's going to be a talking point for the midterms. Because when you look at what happened to Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws. And people read, people are smart. They read from other countries. And they swam that 3-mile swim or however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States. The biggest thing, the worst thing that Biden did is allowing 25 million people into our country.
And then Trump continued using this as the talking point that he just said he was going to use it for. He said, I saw what happened in Spain yesterday. It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. This is what's going to happen if Republicans don't get elected, except much worse, much bigger. Here, play this clip.
Drug prices are great. I saw Spain yesterday, and I watched the catastrophe that took place. It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse, much bigger, much easier to get into, despite the fact that we have built thousands of miles of wall.
Now, what actually happened in Spain, just to be clear, the Mediterranean Sea separates mainland Spain from Ceuta and Melilla, these territories, and they are on the border of Morocco. What was notable is that all of the attacks from all of the right-wing parties and Trump and MAGA and everyone was of Spain and not of Morocco, number one, when it was like, okay, well, Morocco is bringing all of the people in, and nobody was calling out the obvious op that was taking place. And it felt like Israel, these top officials, were purposefully all making this post to show and almost brag that their fingerprints were all over this as well. And look, a few weeks back, remember early July when Donald Trump was speaking, leading into the July 4th stuff, Donald Trump threatened basically to do just this. He goes, Spain didn't let us use the bases to attack Iran. They know what's coming their way. They're not behaving nicely. They will learn. Here, play this clip.
The Spanish. They're members of NATO, but not very good members of NATO. They say, no, we don't want to help other people. What are we doing, huh? They are not behaving nicely, but they will learn. Soon after they relinquished their grip on Cuba and Guam, the Philippines and Puerto Rico, and they were all ours. We got them all.
Now, if you go back, you'll see that the MAGA Republicans in the House, working with Marco Rubio, were pushing forward policy positions to basically try to claim Ceuta and Melilla as part of Morocco and to take it away from Spain. Think about how the Trump regime has attacked territorial sovereignty in Canada, right? Supporting secession movements in Greenland. We're seeing it here, obvious. I mean, they took over Venezuela. We have lots of ground troops in places like Ecuador. There will be obviously in Colombia with the new right-wing leader there. Lots of area. We have lots of CIA right now in Mexico. So lots of interference in the territorial integrity. To me, this was part of that. This was, in my view, I believe it's kind of an act of war, in my opinion, that Trump and Netanyahu, I'm giving you my opinion, you can disagree, we're working with King Mohammed VI on Throne Day to do in this Spanish territory. Back in April 15, 2026, people who were following this, kind of predicting what was happening, like Bruna Macias said, U.S. is now saying Ceuta and Melilla are not part of Spain. Not sure this is a veiled or unveiled threat against Spain's territorial integrity, but at least the Spanish government knows where the threats will come from, and it's not Iran. Because here's the text from the U.S. congressional report back in April for the first time saying that Ceuta and Melilla are Moroccan territory and they don't belong to Spain. This was all part of a plan. And as I noted at the beginning, Strait of Gibraltar, Hormuz Strait is Persian Gulf. Then you have the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandab, Strait of Gibraltar, Mediterranean Sea. And so to me, this is also part of a Trump regime effort working with Israel and Morocco, control the Strait of Gibraltar, control the Mediterranean Sea, the same way the Houthis are able to control the Red Sea, and the Bab el-Mandab is able to be in the Bab el-Mandab, and then Iran's able to control the Strait of Hormuz. Spanish intelligence also confirmed that this was an op. But let me just share with you how it also backfired in Donald Trump's face, because all of this was exposed. And I think it revealed how utterly desperate and pathetic Donald Trump is in the midterms. And I think everybody, there was once a time where there wasn't independent media, right? And these types of CIA-led schemes and these types of U.S. and Israel ops working with King Mohammed or whatever would not be reported on, and people wouldn't learn this stuff, right? I'll give you also, like, when the Arab nations report, they intercept, and CENTCOM. I mean, CENTCOM is just as bad at this point of giving disinformation. We shot down all of the Iranian drones, all of the ballistic missiles. There was some debris, but minor damage, nothing big. Like before independent news, before all of this on the ground reporting, before all this open source intelligence stuff, people may have been like, oh, I guess so. I guess that's what happened. But now we know, and we can actually call out what the hell is happening. And it's like, oh, shit. Trump and Rubio are behind this. I mean, the State Department put out a statement that made it pretty obvious that we hereby condemn Spain and we're thinking about what we can do now to go after Spain. Come on, it's such a false flag. And when you say false flag, you sound like I'm a conspiracy theorist. But no, isn't it pretty obvious where this was all coming from? You have all of these posts from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel, the United Nations ambassador, the State Department, the videos of the trucks going by, the April Secretary of State policy position saying Ceuta and Melilla, which are Spanish territory, now belong to Morocco. Come on, it seems pretty obvious what's going on. And then we're getting statements from local police that obviously the Moroccan government was bringing these migrants over there. But let me show you the grace and dignity that Pedro Sanchez handled this. Here's what he had to say. He said, "The state is here. We will defend the security and coexistence of Ceuta just as we would defend them within Madrid's M30. Because geographically there may be a center and periphery, but institutionally, politically, and in terms of development, there is no periphery and no center. We are all one. We will continue cooperating with our neighboring country, Morocco, not only to combat the criminal networks that have been human trafficking over the past years, we will also want want to express our sorrow for the number of human lives that have been lost as a result of this crisis at the border between Morocco and Spain, particularly at the border with the autonomous city of Ceuta. The situation deserves our strongest possible condemnation, especially of the criminal organizations that traffic human beings, deceive countless young people, and ultimately cause many of them to lose their lives, whether in the Atlantic Ocean or, as in this case, at the border between Spain and the autonomous city of Ceuta. We will continue cooperating with the Moroccan authorities, whose willingness to work together I also wish to acknowledge, so that these repatriations can be carried out as quickly as possible, and the migrants who arrived irregularly, particularly yesterday, can return to their country. Ceuta is a Spanish city, and what happened yesterday deserves all of our reproach and all our condemnation at the most energetic level possible. Our rejection, condemnation, and consideration of as deplorable are directed at the violation of and attack on the territorial integrity of the Spanish city, such as the city of Ceuta. The most urgent task right now is to restore normalcy, normality, guarantee security, and above all, not put coexistence at risk. With all due respect to the president of the autonomous city of Ceuta, we've spoken many times about the importance of the coexistence in the city. I believe that its diversity is one of the greatest attractions and also one of its greatest strengths, and that is something I think all governments must preserve, not only through our policies and our actions, but also through our words. The government of Spain will always stand by that principle. And so he did not bite the bait at all. He was respectful to Morocco. He showed empathy with the people, with the immigrants, with the migrants. He expressed sorrow for the people who died. And in a matter of 24 hours, all 50,000 migrants returned to Morocco. And maybe that doesn't get reported. It gets reported on the MeidasTouch network. Maybe the images get reported, but not that full story of what happened here. That's why we do the MeidasTouch network, to say what really happened here. What was the story behind the story, and where are we now? By the way, that's why, if you can, order WTF America. That's the book I did with my brothers, and it comes out in October. And we spent a lot of time on it. Pre-order it right now. There's a lot of momentum behind the book. And our publisher says that it's really helpful to do the pre-orders versus waiting until October, because it helps give us the data of what we need to do better, where we should be traveling for the book tour. So pre-order it right now. There's a QR code you can check out. Or with your phone, just do the QR code, just put your phone over it. Or in the description below, there's a link to buy the book. So put in the comments also WTF America if you were able to buy this book on pre-order. All right, thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Grateful for you.
Breaking news right now, my brothers and I wrote a book. It's called WTF America. And well, doesn't that just say it all? It comes out officially this October, but you can pre-order your copy today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below.